And a good midday on this Monday. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights, VELCO Weather Hazards Forecaster. Can't miss the elongated frontal boundary all the way from near Brownsville, Texas, even northern Mexico, all the way to the northeast and into the Canadian Maritimes. This is what we're dealing with currently. And the back edge of slightly colder air is starting to advect in right across the northern tier regions where it could see a couple mixed snowflakes or a few ice pellets, but nothing major. Atop places like Mount Washington, New Hampshire, you're looking at freezing rain. And there has been reports of a couple wet snowflakes in the mountains, but not a whole lot. The overall picture is with this vigorous trough of lower pressure here. That's going to pull down even colder air. That's going to move in for Wednesday, and that's when we could see our first travel impacts for some parts of the northeast United States, including northern New England, where we could see some wet snow down to valley floors at that point in time. That would be Wednesday morning, lasting in through most of the day with wet snowflakes in the air. Other than that, the two good days coming are going to be Tuesday, tomorrow, as we see a weak area of higher pressure build in kind of from the northern Ohio Valley, lower Great Lakes region into the northeast U.S. That's going to provide us with dry weather during the day tomorrow, Tuesday, and that'll be followed also on Thursday with another good day. Thereafter, a little bit more unsettled as we head toward the weekend. Coldest temperatures will be during the middle part of this week, but a little bit of a warming trend will take place as we head into this coming weekend. Let's take a look at the computer modeling world. The GFS ensemble on the right-hand side, the European on the left-hand side, and let's run the model. So this is valid about 5 o'clock this evening, and it's mainly just rain. However, we do change over to a little bit of wet snow in the higher terrain, kind of seeing that in the GFS ensemble. Not a whole lot of accumulation, just mostly wet snowflakes in the air. Then it looks like, and from there it looks like we have a little bit of ridging of higher pressure. That's going to allow for a fairly nice day, it looks like on Tuesday. And eventually we get this fairly vigorous shortwave trough that's going to swing in. It's packing some chillier air. This all basically arrives for this week. And it looks like we get a little bit of wet snow. This develops roughly about the morning commute, and just beginning to push into the state of Vermont, and it could produce anywhere from as little as a dusting on grassy surfaces, potentially maybe up to about 1.5 inches in some of the elevated terrain off the valley floors. It could produce some slippery travel, especially notable for Wednesday morning. Wednesday afternoon, the temperatures do go above freezing, but they stay basically the precipitation as snow, and then that basically tails off during the early evening hours on Wednesday evening. High pressure then ridges in. This is a fairly strong one, 1033 from West Virginia and the mid-Appalachian region, pushes into the northeast United States, keeping this a little bit further to the north and at bay. And it looks like we have a pretty fine day setting up with some decent solar generation as well along about Thursday. So nice sunshine, chilly temperatures, however. We are looking at the next system to push on in. This would be valid around the morning hours on Friday. It's mainly going to produce just a little bit of rain shower activity, and the heights aloft lift a little bit more, so that means we'll see a little bit warmer temperatures. We have a fairly good Friday night as it looks right now, and then this next weather system with some showers pushing through across Saturday and then into Sunday. A little bit more of a vigorous area of low pressure. This is beyond the period now. We have several systems upstream. This elongated frontal boundary will be problematic, but not yet. And you can kind of see the story here. Looking at the GFS ensemble centered on Montpelier, you can see the main precipitation event is really starting today, this Monday, and it's winding on down. These are 3-hourly QPF, so a little bit of, this is our little snow system that we're talking about for Wednesday morning. A little bit of sporadic business in between, and then a little bit of a drying out, and then more as we head into the weekend. Now, that's the total QPF. Well, it looks like this. So we're looking at generally about 0.6 of an inch, right along those lines overall. And this models are in pretty good agreement. Looking at the temperature dew points, we come down and kind of dry things out a little bit from basically tomorrow, Tuesday, and then we start to ramp it up very slowly with higher dew points. Now, in terms of precipitation types, you can take the 850 temperature basically about the top of Mount Mansfield. You can see that temperatures are actually a little bit above normal, actually above the freezing mark, but then come on down just about the time as the precipitation falls off. So we're not seeing a whole lot of accumulation in our mountaintops right now. There's a little bit of that business. And then those temperatures do come on down and then make a slow climb, but basically just back to about 0 degrees centigrade about the top of Mount Mansfield. What does it all mean? It means that we have rain, and that pushes on out. A little bit of a flurry action for this evening, that is Monday evening. Then things fall apart, and then this little bit of an uptick here for basically Wednesday morning. That's going to be the biggest event. It could cause a little bit of slippery travel in some locations, most likely the higher terrain, and not super widespread, but something to worry about if you don't have your snow tires on, and then drier weather thereafter, and so on. Rainfall amounts will be below normal for this time of year, and we're looking at generally around 2,500 to about a half an inch, and even less than that as you head further to the south and west. Not a whole lot going on across the country. The most precipitation is going to be up on the northwestern coast. This is not El Nino-like, in fact, the reverse of the El Nino situation. 2-meter temperatures, almost coast to coast. We have a little bit of that, of course, ahead of the frontal boundary, still pretty warm to the south and east of our region along the east coast. All of that colder air pushing on in. A lot of Arctic high latitude blocking right now, and that's forcing the jet stream to cut underneath and bring in that colder weather. So next 5 days of high temperatures, averaging weighted about 3 degrees below normal for this time of year. And then about 3 days later, it looks like this, which is starting to make some inroads back to neutral or even a little bit above normal. Nothing to worry about in the tropics, but we do have a 20% chance of a tropical cyclone to spin up northeast of the Bahamas, and another one here about 10%. That's a little bit further to the inside the Caribbean basin. I don't think there's anything to worry about in the tropics. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights. Thanks for watching.